Hi everyone, I wanted to talk to you about a topic that comes up quite a lot with my clients, and that is the topic of rebounding, but rebounding in a work sense as opposed to a romantic sense. And this is where we jump from one job straight into another after a painful breakup. And normally you will think of rebound as in a romantic sense, and we will know then that very often these relationships don't work. They're certainly not long-lived in most cases. There is the exception, of course, but in most cases, one of the people in that relationship wasn't ready. They hadn't taken the time to think about what they liked and didn't like about that previous relationship, and also any areas that they might want to work on, and getting really clear on what it is that they want from this new relationship. And that's where quite often with my clients I see some failure, especially patterns where people are serial rebounders, so they tend to jump from job to job to job and not understand why they keep having the same problems, and ending up in the same kind of organisation in roles that don't make them happy. So I wanted to just share some thoughts and some tips in this area. A rebound is more likely to happen when the job has ended unexpectedly. And this is, again, the same as in a relationship. So if it's ended unexpectedly in that you've been made redundant or you've been fired, there's a lot of hurt involved, and it's very easy to jump into something really quickly to make ourselves feel better, and to know that we're wanted, and something that's comfortable, something that we know that's safe, that we know that we're good at. And I completely get this, I completely understand it. There's also the financial pressure when it's unexpected, and this again just drives us into panic mode. Got to find a new job. I've spoken to people who have been made redundant, gone home and updated their CVs straight away and started firing out CVs the next day. I would suggest that this probably isn't the best idea. You really cannot have clarity on what it is that you're looking for, and I do believe that spending some real time getting very, very clear on what it is that you want and don't want will lead you to be much more effective if you can just take that time out to explore the options, and really kind of get to grips with what it is that you want. Now, if you do take this time, and I get that not everyone has the comfort of a generous redundancy package, or savings. I was lucky enough many years ago at the end of a job where I wasn't happy to take some time out and go travelling, and do some volunteering abroad, and this was one of the best things that I ever did. It really gave me some headspace to really think about and get clear on what it was that I wanted. I also worked with a coach, and I found that really beneficial as well. It can be very easy to lie to yourself about what you want. We've been conditioned to want certain things by society, and having someone to challenge your thinking is really helpful. So I just wanted to share a few questions to ask yourself, just to get you thinking about this if you have found yourself in this situation and this is resonating with you. And this hopefully will help you avoid one of those work rebound situations. Number one, just ask yourself what it was that you really liked about your job when you first started. Now, if you can go back over all of your previous jobs, do an inventory. I really recommend this. What was it that you loved when you started? And think about the real highlights, the things that really brought you joy in those jobs. And you should start to see some themes across all of them. Go back as far as you can. It's a great exercise to do. Then number two, also go back over those jobs and ask yourself, what didn't you like about that job, specifically at the end? And again, you might start to see some patterns and really have some aha moments like, that's interesting that I kept choosing jobs that did that and gave me this when I didn't like it. And that didn't make me happy. Yet we're still jumping in, and there's something comfortable about that. So you should start to see some patterns if you go through this process of doing this inventory. And then number three, what kept you there for so long, even though you were unhappy? Now, I've spoken to people that have been doing a job for like 20 years, but they were unhappy for 8 of them. That's a really long time to be unhappy, but there was something about that job that kept them there for that long. Now, very often what will come up here is security, job security. And if that's something that's really important to you, then, you know, going for some short-term job or starting up your own business, something to really think about, because if that job security is one of your core values, it's really important that you find a way to maintain that in some way. Or it could be that you really enjoyed the people that you worked with, your team, you loved your team, and having that camaraderie. And again, that is going to be something that's going to be really important to you to make sure that you have in that new job. So again, if you may think, I want to work from home, I want to be, you know, without a team, I want to be free. And actually, when you land that job, you'll realise that you really, really miss that teamwork, that sense of team and the people that you are working with. And then number 4, what are your strengths? Now, this is something that my clients find the hardest thing to do, to really draw out what it is that they're good at and their strengths. If this is you and you're struggling if you would struggle with that question as well, a couple of recommendations. One is to buy the book Strengths Finder 2.0, comes with an access code for an online test, and will give you a report on what your top 5 strengths are. And I really think it will surprise you, some of the strengths that you didn't even realise you had, that will make sense when you get the report, and you'll have some new stuff to that you've learnt about yourself that you can use to sell yourself on your CV and your applications. Another one is to look at your LinkedIn recommendations and start to see if there are any themes and strengths that your previous managers and colleagues have started to draw out and recommend you for. And this again will give you something else. If you don't have LinkedIn recommendations, then get some. Definitely recommend that. And then number 5, this is a big question, but ask yourself this question. If money was no object, what would I be doing for a living? Now, this is a big question. But so often we put the blinkers on with what is and isn't possible because we've got bills to pay. But I just want to ask you just for a moment to just let that all go. Imagine that money was no object, and ask yourself, what would I be doing for a living if money was no object? Now, it might not be possible tomorrow, but this is an ideal opportunity to really take this time and think about how you can take that next best step to get you closer to that dream job. So that's just a few tips, a few questions to think about. I really hope this was helpful and it resonated with you. If you do recognise yourself as a serial rebounder, or you are at a crossroads in your career, then please do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. It's something that I have helped quite a lot of people with. So I would love to help you if I can. And thank you for listening.